All right, I have Cody Brundage back on the show, who will be fighting again at Dana White's Contender Series on October the 5th against Shonte Barnes. Cody, how are you?
I'm great, man. How you doing?
I'm good. It's nice to see you again. And you were telling me before we went live here that you initially thought that this fight was going to be in August, but it's actually October. So we're getting a little bit closer to that now. What have your nerves been like recently versus, when you originally found out earlier this year?
Um, my nerves have been really good. I'm a pretty nervous fighter in general. I realize that what's at stake when we do this sport. I think some people don't, and that's a benefit to them. But I realize what's at stake, and typically I'm very nervous, but I'm not that nervous going into this one. I just feel ready. I feel like I've had a lot of time to prepare. And I'm not fighting like in the beginning of my career. I'd fight once every 2 months. And so there wasn't a lot of growth. I was just in fight camp trying to crank out wins. But in these last 2 years, I've just been training really hard and getting a lot better. So every time I fight, I feel more prepared, and that helps with the nerves a lot.
Yeah, I guess maybe nerves is the wrong word. I should have used anxious, because when you initially found out, it was so long ago and you had to wait for months and months to even get to the point which you thought it was going to be August, and then you had to wait a little bit longer for October. So you must be excited to be at this point now. We're about a month out.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super excited to compete and be back on Contender Series. Last year I felt like I was so close to getting that contract. I was up a weight, and I feel like I had a good showing, made a good account of myself. I got a good win in February, and then like you said, I took this fight, thought it was in August. So I was like, oh, it's a little far away, but nothing too crazy. And then figured out it was in October. So I was like, wow, I can't even really think about the fight. I just need to work on getting better. But I'd say probably the last 2 weeks it's really set in. We're finishing up camp, and I only got probably 3 more hard weeks, and we'll be there. So, yeah, I'm super excited. I'm ready to be back on there and kind of show my improvement, my growth, and just like prove people right. I think people have big expectations for me. I have big expectations for myself, and I just want to prove myself and those people correct.
Yeah, obviously with the loss to William Knight the first time around a Contender Series, that didn't go the way that you wanted. But what did you learn from that? How have you become a better mixed martial artist since? I mean, you did get a big win your last fight for LFA in February, so clearly you're on the right track now. How have you grown since that first appearance on Dana White's Contender Series?
I think just the biggest growth has probably been my confidence in myself, and the fact that I'm well rounded, and I don't have to fall into this box of I'm just a wrestler, or I need to stick to this type of strategy. I think I've grown a lot in terms of what I know I'm capable of. My coach always says, he's like, trust your hands, don't abandon your wrestling. And before, like my last showing on Contender, I was all wrestle, 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 and it ended up costing me, put me in a bad position. But I don't feel that way this time. I feel like I can win a fight wherever it takes place, and I definitely have advantages in certain areas, but I feel competent everywhere. I feel like I can compete everywhere with anyone. So that's probably my biggest growth, and that's just time in.
Mhm. Was there a big weight difference? Was that a big factor in that fight with Knight, fighting at 205 versus 185?
It definitely was a factor. I kick myself because I should have finished that fight. I believe that 100%. I was right there to finish it. But yeah, I weighed in on Monday at 205. I showed up to fight at 204. I was walking at that weight, and if you see William Knight, he's a big dude, and he's definitely cutting to make 205. So it was definitely an advantage for him. Going into it, I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. Obviously he was able. It wasn't that he was so much bigger. It was that he was able to maybe move me out of positions that an 85er is not going to be able to move me out of. And he was able to explode through some stuff that an 85er is not going to be able to do. So I'm happy to be back at 85. I feel really strong there. I feel super athletic, super fast. It's a good fit for me. So I'm happy to be there.
When you see what Knight's doing now in the UFC, he just had a huge knockout win over Fabio Cherant. Does that give you even more confidence to know that you had him in a really, really bad spot and you potentially could have won that fight, and that was up a weight class? So, I mean, how good can you be at 185 once you get into the big show?
Right. I don't know if it gives me more confidence, because I feel like I'm a lot better than him. Every time I see him fight, I'm glad he's winning. That makes it look better on my record. But I want some of my teammates here at 205 to go show him what's up, because I'm not rooting for that guy. I'll be honest. I want to be in the UFC, and he was able to steal that win for me that night, and good for him. But confidence-wise, I felt like before that fight, and I felt like after that fight, that I was much better. I put myself in a bad situation and lost, but it was a 3-minute fight, and for 2 minutes and 50 seconds, I was dominating him just like I thought I would. I think 9 times out of 10, I win that fight, and that was his time. So confidence-wise, I never felt like I was worse than him, and I've never felt like I can't compete in the UFC. So the fact that he's winning, good for him, but it didn't really change the fact that I know I can win there, and that I think I'm better than him.
One of your teammates, Dustin Jacoby, correct me if I'm wrong, but his last fight was at 205, right? So that fight that could make sense with him and William Knight, get a little revenge for Factory X.
Yeah, I don't think William Knight would accept that fight. Maybe he would. That'd be problems for him though. DJ's a whole nother monster. That guy pushes me every day, and he's getting better too, which is crazy because he's such a vet. I'd love that fight for Dustin. Dustin would knock that kid out. I have no doubts in my mind. That'd be 50 G's extra for Dustin. But I would be shocked if that kid said yes to that fight.
How good of an athlete is Jacoby? Because I've interviewed him before, and he's clearly a really good golfer. And he said he was all-state basketball and football. And what can't this guy do?
Yeah, I haven't found it yet. If I figure it out, I'll let you know. He's a great hunter. He's a great golfer. We go and play basketball. He's sick at basketball. He's good at everything he does. It's almost like you want to root against him a little bit because you're like, dude, just be bad at something, right? Like, he's good at everything. He's a good leader. He's a good friend. I was telling him, I was out with him this last week for his fight, and the amount of phone calls and FaceTimes and support, like, we all have a lot of support. The amount of support this guy has from all walks of his life, like, is unreal. And I think that's a testament to the guy he is. He's such a great dude and such a great leader. And yeah, he's not bad at anything. So it's cool to kind of be under his wing and just try to be more like DJ. If you're more like DJ, you're doing the right things.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, are you a golfer too? You said you golfed with him. Is that something that you try to do a lot?
I don't do it a lot. I go every now and again. I'm not that great. I'm not horrible, but I'm definitely not a great golfer. I don't have the patience for it. My back nine definitely looks a lot worse than my front nine, which isn't typical. But I enjoy it. It's fun to go do. I'm pretty athletic as well, so I can kind of fall into things and do all right. But yeah, no, I don't go frequently.
Yeah, it's a frustrating game, man. You really got to put in that time to get good at it. I'm hoping I run a tournament every year up here in New England, and I was hoping to get him up here maybe next year if everything aligns. It'd be cool to see him up here. I do want to ask you too, man. You had a child since the last time that we spoke. So is this your first, and what has that been like?
Yeah, so she's my first. It's been crazy. I don't want to say she gave me more motivation because I feel like everyone says that, and I feel like I was already super motivated, but she gave me really good perspective on what I was doing and why I'm doing it. And it's been great. We've had some ups and downs here in the last couple weeks. Everything's going to be okay, like nothing insane, but it's just, it's scary, man. Everything. I was talking to my dad on the phone, and he's like, listen, that'll never go away. You're 27 years old, and I'm still worried every time I figure out you're flying or every time you're driving to come see me. And I definitely feel that, that's a different thing I've never felt before. And it's great, though. I'm really happy. She's been a huge asset and a blessing to our life. And yeah, she's great.
Are you getting enough sleep? Because I'm getting married at the end of October, and my soon-to-be wife wants a kid right out of the gate, man. So I'm nervous about the sleep aspect. How has that been for you?
Yeah, you get through the first 6 to 8 weeks, and you'll be good. Our baby sleeps pretty well. My wife did a really good job of sleep training her. I had nothing to do with that. I don't want to take any credit. She did all of that, and our baby's done pretty well. She'll sleep through the night pretty consistently. And then also, I think you just get used to maybe if you're not getting the same amount of sleep. I'm just kind of accustomed to what I'm getting now, and you make it work.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Very happy for your family. That's fantastic news. Now, obviously, after the Dana White Contender Series fight, LFA 99 in February, you got a round 3 victory over Joseph Cropshot. What's the takeaway from that fight? Are you disappointed it even got into the third round? Or are you hoping you were going to get it done sooner? What did your coaches say about that fight?
I thought it was really good. I wasn't disappointed it went in the third round. The biggest thing I lack right now, I think, is cage, like real-time cage experience. So it was good to get those minutes under my belt. And part of the reason it went to the third round is if you watch the fight, I was fighting completely different than I've ever fought. I was embracing the stand-up, and I wasn't shooting for takedowns. And I was just trying to work on my game a little bit, which is something I told everyone before the fight is what I wanted to do. So I was really happy with how it went. I feel like I made some big improvements. I showed a lot of growth from my Contender Series fight. And I was still able to get the finish over a high-level brown belt out of Team Santos. So All in all, I was happy with it. There was a lot of good things to take from it, a lot of things to work on. The coaches were happy. And it's always good to bounce back after a loss and just kind of put myself back in the thick of things in terms of being back on Contender. I had an opportunity to be on Tough. Obviously, with my child, the timing didn't really line up. But just to put my name back out there and be relevant again moving forward.
What did you think of this past season of Tough? If you were on that show, would you have gotten your hand raised for the 185-pound tournament winner there?
I like my odds if I was on the show. I think I was a bad matchup for a lot of those guys. Obviously, they did it. Hats off to them. It's not an easy thing to do. You know, my wife's done it, and I've heard her talk about it and what you go through mentally to do it. So props to those guys. I will say once I went on Contender, I already have a few of those guys that I want to fight. I think they're good matchups for me. But yeah, I thought it was a good season. You know, I enjoyed it. I love all fights. You know, I watch Contender, I watch LFA, anytime I get a chance to watch fights, I'm watching fights. And most of the fights this season were good. You know, they were competitive. I feel like they cast this show pretty evenly. And I mean, that shows you, like, I think the fact that Brian Battle was the last pick and he was able to win the show shows you how well they cast the show. And yeah, it was good. You know, obviously, you know, I really wanted to do it. Like I said, the timing, it was like a week after my child was born. I didn't feel like I could leave my wife with the newborn baby because we're moved to Colorado now. We don't have family around. It's not like we could get help from them. So I think I made the right decision. I'm happy to be where I'm at and moving forward. But like I said, winning on this Contender series, I have a couple of those tough guys that I'm going to call out. I already have them in mind. And yeah, I think I would have won the show, but I didn't do it. So props to the guys that won it.
How does the fight between you and Brian Battle end?
You know, we fought as amateurs.
Did you really?
Yeah, we fought as amateurs. It was a split decision. He beat me in a split decision. He was my fourth fight.
Well, you're clearly an evolved fighter as he is as well. So as a professional now at this stage of your career, do you get the finish or do you at least get the win over him?
I think I get the win for sure. I think that his best attribute is he's pretty gritty. I think he's shown in most of his fights he's a dog. You know, he's not going to get put away easy. But I just think I'm too much for him on the feet and grappling, and I think I would beat him over 15 minutes. I think he's tough to put away. I think I might get close on a couple things, but yeah, I just don't think he could beat me anywhere, you know, so it would just be a tough night for him.
Yeah, well, that'd be a fight I'm sure the fans would like to see here moving forward. Tell me, man, how has this camp been thus far? You still have some work to do before the big fight night, and how are things going with Coach Mark Montoya? I think I see him running around in back of you there.
Yeah, I stole his office for this interview, so he's doing his thing. It's been great, you know. It's been a long camp because we figured out, like I said, in March, so it's been almost 8 months. But it's been really good. I've been in camp with Dustin. I've been in camp with Anthony. So all those guys are here. We're pushing, getting better every day. And I know everyone always says it's like, I'm going to be a completely different guy, you know, this fight. You're not even going to recognize me. But I really feel that way. You know, I've been here for between my Contender Series fight and my LFA fight was 5 months, and I made huge improvements, and I looked like a different fighter, and it's been 8 months since then. So, you know, being in a new place with guys that are pushing you and beating you every day is what really, I think, creates growth and creates change in what you're doing. And I'm in a perfect place for that. So it's been really good. You know, I have high spirits. I love training. This is really what I love to do. So it doesn't feel like work, even though it's been a long camp. I'm happy with where I'm at, and my weight's always good. I feel ready to compete, and yeah, so I'm ready to get in there and do my thing.
How's Anthony looking thus far in camp? I'm sure pretty good.
Yeah, he's always looking pretty good. He usually his first 2 weeks are a little rough because he shows up out of shape and we got to get him into shape. But this time, I guess he got a Peloton, and he showed up in pretty good shape, better than I've seen. And yeah, he looks great, man. He's a little bigger than he normally is. Normally he comes in about 220. I think he's like almost 230 coming into this camp. So that'll be good because Span's not a small guy, you know. So I think that was an intentional thing he's done. And yeah, but he's looked really good. He's a beast. You know, it's good to train with him and take my licks from him and try to give him back as much as I can. But yeah, I'm excited for him to do his thing, keep this hot streak Factory X's on going.
Yes, sir. What's your weight at right now? I know we're a ways out, but how close are you to 185?
Yeah, I'm walking like 203, 204. So it's pretty good. I normally start my water at like 198. So I'm right in that striking distance of where I need to be.
Perfect. And with this next second shot here at Contender Series, does that give you more pressure? Do you feel like you have to go in there and not just win, but get a finish here?
Yeah, I want to get a finish. I felt like I was so close to getting a finish last time. I always want to finish. I'm a finisher. I start quick. I try to get in and out of there. We don't get paid by the hour. I'm trying to get done quick and be impressive. I felt like I was last year. I think that's part of the reason I got back on so quick is because I didn't lose too much stock in my performance. And I kind of want to show that I can do that every time. I really do believe that. I feel like most of my fights, I come out fast, strong, and try to put it away. I'm not a boring fighter. Sometimes wrestlers, I think, get a bad rap for being boring. I try to stay away from that as much as possible. I think my fights are exciting. And, yeah, I always want to finish and have a good performance. And that's ultimately how I'm going to get signed. If I go out there and give max effort and look for the finish the whole fight, even if I don't get it, there's a good chance I'll get signed. So as long as I'm doing that, I'll feel good about it.
Now, your opponent, Barnes, he's 6-1-1. All 6 of his victories are by way of finish, so he's a finisher as well. Stylistically, when you look at this matchup, what kind of a fight do you expect it to be?
He's a southpaw. He's not a very active fighter in terms of – I don't think he's very active in the cage, and he's not very active with his schedule. He's fought twice since I made my pro debut, so I've definitely been more active than him. But, yeah, he throws bombs. He tries to knock you out. I think my grappling is going to be a little bit too much. But I also think my striking is up there with his. I don't think he has an advantage anywhere. And I think I fought better competition. You know what I mean? I know I'm training with better competition. I know I fought better competition. If you look at the guys he's fought, this isn't necessarily always a for sure thing, but he's never fought anyone with a winning record, which I know because I've been there. I've been the guy who's kind of trying to just get wins in cage time. You're picking smart fights. But then when you get in there with somebody who's many levels above the people you fought, it's a different look, and sometimes it's hard to deal with. I'm not saying that he can't compete or whatever. He's got one-shot knockout power. He's pretty athletic, but I just think I'm going to be too much. I think I'm too well-rounded. I'm 8 years younger. There's a lot of things that are playing in my favor for this fight, and I like my chances going into it. It's a good matchup for me for sure.
How do you see it ending?
I think I'm going to sub him, honestly. I think I'll get to my takedown, and I think second round, I think he fades pretty quickly. If he can't get that finish quick, I think he fades, and I think I'll grind him out in the first. Second round will be more of the same, and I'll find the finish.
Can't wait, man. October 5th, it'll be here before you know it. Again, Cody Brundage, Shonte Barnes, Dana White's Contender Series. Always a pleasure talking to you, my man. Before I let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media, and if you have anybody to thank, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so you can follow me at Cody_Brundage_ on Instagram, and then just Cody Brundage MMA fighter on Facebook. Most of my stuff's always on Instagram. That's probably the best way to keep up with me. Shout out a couple sponsors. Wellbiss Labs, they're a local company out here in Colorado, a CBD company. They've been with me. They do all my prehab, rehab stuff. Standout Performance, they do all my strength and conditioning. And then obviously my teammates in my gym, Factory X, they're awesome, and I appreciate them.